I just hit this one random quote that I read in the book that doesn't make so much sense at all, but like I thought it was just fucking hilarious to read.
It doesn't make sense to the chapter?
I mean, it does, but it doesn't really have like a full description. I'll just read.
Okay.
I just thought, wow, that's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it says, did you ever stop to think that a dog is the only animal that doesn't have to work for a living? A hen has to lay eggs, a cow has to give milk, and a canary has to sing. But a dog makes his living by giving you nothing but love.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yo, that's crazy. It's like, laziest fucking animal on this earth.
It's dope. Yeah, it pretty much starts the chapter with like the easiest person to ever get along with is the person that is more interested in you, essentially. So that's when they brought the whole dog in.
Yeah, no,
like,
so it does make sense.
Like, no, who doesn't give a fudge about nothing? And then, your dog.
Oh yeah, and then that's actually where I had to play off of one of my other notes that I had made, which was, you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming genuinely interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you.
Exactly.
Which makes sense. Like you think about the dog walking by 100 people and like 87 people are just freaking, oh, let me pet your dog.
Right,
and then
right.
They just wag their tail and go crazy.
Right.
So I was just like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I took that second quote kind of heart. That was just kind of like when I moved to this area, I was like, I had no friends for like a while. I felt like it was just kind of me living with Olivia, being with her family and stuff like that. It took a while for me to like find friends, and I always tried to make friends. And I kind of look back at it now, and I feel like I was trying to sell myself to people instead of trying to I was trying to pretty much show that like, hey, like if we hang out, like I'm a cool guy.
This
like,
is what I can provide for you.
I'm a
this is
fun
what I got
guy,
to the table.
Yeah, like we can have a good time, like go out, grab drinks, go play golf, things like that.
Yep.
And I think I was trying too hard to like focus on that, whether instead of just being like, oh, like what do you do and like what's your thing and like shit like that. So and then once I started to kind of like listen to people a little bit more, been able to build a few more friendships.
Gotcha. So you pretty much piqued their interest in order to gain a friend.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I mean, like the way we became friends is all of a sudden you were reading a book in the back of the freaking truck, and I was just like, "What are you reading?" And then all of a sudden it was like, boom! Right from there, I was interested in what you were reading. And
I was so interested that you asked me, and I was like, "Yo, I got this is what I'm doing."
Yeah. And then we just started talking books, and I didn't mention hanging out or like let's do this or let's do that. It was just I was listening to. Someone's ripping ass upstairs.
Oh my god!
I was just genuinely interested in what you were doing, and
yeah.
I mean, look at us now. Now we're doing a podcast about books.
About facts.
That's where it all started. Was the fucking truck and asking you what you were doing.
Full circle.
Damn, look at that.
Oh, damn! This is a juicy one.
That's so funny.
I love how facts. I love how it works. Okay, so one of the first notes is spoiler. So,
spoiler.
My first note, yes, it was from chapter 2.
Okay.
And I told you there's gonna be a spoiler in there.
Yeah.
We're on chapter 4, but part
2, chapter 1.
Part 2, chapter 1. It's almost like the 4th chapter,
but
right?
His notes was spoiler alert.
This was
he was gonna bring up spoiler.
Right.
That's
so awesome. You want to know it? But so this is what it is. So, direct thing from the chapter. It was Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt. He greeted like everyone in his like when he was the president. He greeted everybody, the servants, everybody by name. He associated everyone like with their actual name, and that made them feel like so much more important to everybody.
Yep.
There's another thing in the chapter 2 that it talks about the whole greeting people as well, but I wanted to focus on that point because what I learned in high school was the greatest. This is the spoiler. Like the greatest thing you're ever gonna hear is your own name.
Yep.
That's the most like influential or like important feeling you're gonna feel. Like when someone's like, "Yo, hey John, how you doing today?" And then you're like, "Yo, how do you remember my name? Like, how do you remember that?" Like, and that's what Theodore Roosevelt was doing with all the people that was around him and his like they call it servants. I don't like that name. Like that sounds crazy, but but you know, like the all the staff,
gardeners, laborers, the kitchen staff, and all that shit.
So all that, and they like, yo, he was one of the best guys I've ever met, it was specifically because he was naming everyone by their name. And that's the most important thing that anybody ever hears in their life is their own name.
I actually worked for a company. I actually 100% agree with that whole thing of like learning people's names and talking by like coming up to them and saying their name and stuff like that. I worked for this one company, big company. There was like, I want to say between 500 and 1,000. I don't know the exact number, but it was a bigger side. Yeah, it was a bigger side company. And the dude would walk around, the CEO at the time would walk around and say, talk to everybody by name. You'd literally say like, "Hey John, how you doing?"
Dope.
And like, as soon as the CEO comes up to you and goes, "Hey John, how you doing?" You'd be like, "Oh,
damn!
Hello, sir. How are you doing today?" Instead of just being like, "Yeah, whatever." Like, you know what I mean? Like, shit like that. Like he came up to everybody by name. Like even like I worked for my uncle at the time. Like he was my manager. And I said, I'd really like to go talk to like the CEO because like that's when I was like so interested in like business and stuff like that. So and I heard he was like, guy was hired because he's really good at building businesses to get them to a point to sell.
Yep.
And stuff like that. So he'd build up businesses like crazy. I was like, I'd really love to go talk to the student just to kind of pick his brain a little bit. I never did, but my uncle goes, I bet if you went up to him, he'd probably say, "What's up?" He'd probably know your name. I'm like, how the hell would he know it was my name? Like, I never went up to find out, but him, my uncle, and a couple other guys was like, he would definitely know your name. I'm like, I've never even seen the guy. Like, he would know your name.
That is super crazy.
I was like, that's wild.
That's a different level than like meeting someone and then like
they were just like, he would know your name for sure. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, he just knows people's names. I mean, obviously CEO, so I'm sure he sees who's coming in the buildings and stuff like that. But he was like, he would definitely know your name.
Still, that's crazy.
I'm like, that's nutty.
I'm actually getting pretty good with names because when I read Limitless by Simon Sinek, like it teaches about memorization in general.
Yeah.
And teaches about how to memorize people's names.
That's a huge thing.
It's dope. So basically, like when you meet somebody, you just say their name, you repeat it back to them. So they're like, "Oh, hi, I'm John." Then I'm like, "Yo, hi, I'm JP." And then if you're trying to memorize my name, like, "Oh, nice to meet you, JP." Like you just repeat it back, and then you try to associate like what I'm supposed to say, like orange, like something like clever that you dictate yourself. Like, oh, JP was wearing orange, so every time you see me, like say we're like at a bar or like an event or something, seminar, like and you see me again and like orange, like JP orange, like. And that's how you do it.
The guy with the orange shirt.
You're right. Yeah. Exactly. That's how you memorize it. Like that's the easy way to associate memorization with like something.
Yeah.
You tie it into like an entity of something.
Yep.
And that's
I've been really bad with names, and my goal is to be like really good with names. And after reading this chapter and stuff like that, and you giving that tip, it's like I always now want to like when I see customers be like, "Hey, what's up?"
It's amazing. They like legit. Everyone feels like fulfilled.
Yeah.
Once you hear your name, I'm telling you, that's the biggest thing everyone loves to hear. Their own name.
Yep.
Like, what was that movie? It was like Matt Damon or something like that when he was deaf.
Oh, I'm terrible.
Oh, but you don't know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm pretty sure it was Matt Damon when he was deaf. Like, and he got like his he got like a operation or whatever, so he was able to hear. He was like a deaf kid, like he was like in a deaf like group or a school or something like that. And he got an operation done, and then his mother came up to him and said it's like his name, and he was like, he's like, yo, like he recognized like
the voice.
No, like the name because like obviously they do like sign language.
Sign language. Oh,
yeah, they do sign language, and then like he started to actually hear things because he had the operation.
Yep.
And he's like, "Is that my name?" And he went crazy. He was like, "Is that?" I don't know how to do it in sign language, but like he's like, "Is that my name?" And the mother was like, "Yeah, that's your name." And he was like, "Oh," like he was like, "Gas!" Like,
cool. To hear it for the first time too.
Right, your own fucking name, right? That's man, that was good.
I've never seen that movie, to be honest. I'm not a movie guy. I'm terrible with it.
I'll find that out.
Thanks for listening, guys, to today's Passion Tomorrow's Purpose podcast with JP, Jonathan, the
investor
and the entrepreneur, where we come together and kind of bring our thoughts together about books. We will be discussing more stuff in the future about the investing side of things and the entrepreneurial side of things. We're not always going to be doing the book thing. We're going to kind of figure out some other things that we're going to do here, but starting off with the books and kind of see where it goes from there and kind of build ourselves up because we're all about growth and development.
That's in the logo, baby. That's in the logo.
Yeah, check out that logo.
We're all about you, but not about us. We would love to teach you guys about what we learned because growth and development. It's all about giving back to everybody else. That's what the whole channel means. Today's passion. That's what gets you motivated. Tomorrow's purpose. The purpose is what you give back to others.
Yep.
So we're trying to get to that end point where we're giving back to you.
Yep.
So thank you for coming so much. Love you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Let's do this. We'll see you in the next one.
Yes, sir.
Woo! That was fucking a solid outro. Woo!